In the quiet, picture-perfect town of Maple Creek, where white picket fences stood as silent sentinels of suburbia, Clara believed her life was an open book. Every neighbor knew when she planted her tulips, when her son aced his spelling bee, and even the exact shade of blue she painted her kitchen. But there was one chapter she kept under lock and key, a secret tucked away behind closed doors and whispered phone calls. This secret had a name: David. David lived next door. He was the town's charming enigma, a man who had moved in a year ago, bringing with him a quiet demeanor and a smile that could melt the winter frost. To the rest of Maple Creek, he was just the new guy, the handsome bachelor who kept to himself. But to Clara, he was the unexpected turn her life had taken, a thrilling detour from her predictable routine. Their story began, as many do, with a simple act of kindness: a fallen tree after a storm, a shared ladder, and a lingering conversation that stretched into the twilight hours. They discovered a shared love for old movies, a similar dry wit, and a mutual feeling of being slightly out of place in a town where everyone seemed to have their life perfectly mapped out. A spark ignited, a quiet, cautious flame that they both agreed had to be kept hidden. Clara was a single mother, and her world revolved around her 10-year-old son, Leo. She worried about the town's infamous rumor mill, the judgmental glances, and the potential disruption a new relationship could bring to Leo's life. So they established rules: no public dates, no lingering goodbyes at the front door. Their connection thrived in the spaces in between: late-night texts, shared cups of coffee over the fence when no one was looking, and stolen moments in the garden, hidden by the thick summer foliage. It was a delicate dance, a clandestine ballet performed on the stage of their neighborhood. They became masters of subterfuge. A borrowed cup of sugar was code for a quick stolen kiss in the pantry. An offer to help with the groceries was an excuse to spend 10 precious minutes together, their hands brushing as they unloaded bags from the car. Their secret was both exhilarating and exhausting, a beautiful, fragile bubble they were terrified would pop. The first crack in their carefully constructed world came from an unlikely source: Mrs. Higgins, the neighborhood's self-appointed watch commander, a woman whose vantage point from her second-story window missed nothing. One evening, as David was helping Clara fix a leaky faucet under her sink, an excuse that had them laughing in hushed tones, Mrs. Higgins was peering through her binoculars, documenting the unusual amount of time David's truck was parked in Clara's driveway. The next day, the whispers started. They were subtle at first, like the rustling of leaves before a storm. A pointed question at the post office from another neighbor: "Oh, Clara, it's so nice that David is so helpful. He seems to be over at your place quite a bit." Clara would offer a practiced, breezy smile and say, "He's just a good neighbor." But her heart would pound in her chest. The bubble was trembling. Then came the school bake sale. Clara was arranging her famous lemon bars when another mom sidled up to her, a sly glint in her eye. "I saw you and David at the park last week," she said, her voice a low conspiratorial hum. "You two looked very friendly." Clara's blood ran cold. They had thought they were being so careful, sitting on separate benches, pretending to be strangers enjoying the sun. But in a town like Maple Creek, there were always eyes watching. The pressure mounted. The knowing glances, the suggestive comments, it was like living under a microscope. The joy of their secret began to curdle into anxiety. The stolen moments that once felt thrilling now felt risky and fraught with tension. Clara found herself pulling away, creating distance not just from David, but from the prying eyes of her community. David noticed the change immediately. The easy laughter was gone, replaced by a worried furrow in her brow. One evening, standing on opposite sides of the fence that separated their yards, he finally addressed the elephant in the garden. "We can't keep doing this, can we?" he asked, his voice gentle, living in fear of what Mrs. Higgins might see through her binoculars. Clara's eyes filled with tears. I'm so afraid, David. Afraid for Leo, afraid of the judgment. It's easier to just stop." The words hung in the air, heavy and painful. Was this the end? Was the fear of what others thought more powerful than what they felt for each other? It was Leo who unknowingly changed everything. A few days later, he came home from school looking upset. "Mom," he said, "Billy told me his mom said you have a secret boyfriend. Is that true?" Clara's heart sank. The gossip had reached the playground. This was her worst fear realized. She sat Leo down, her hands trembling. She decided in that moment that she was done with secrets. She told him about David, not as a secret but as a friend. A kind, funny man who made her happy. She explained that she had been nervous about what people would think, and that's why she hadn't said anything. Leo listened, his expression serious. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment, and then he asked, "Does he like old monster movies too?" Clara blinked, surprised. "Yes," she said. "He loves them." A small smile touched Leo's lips. "Cool. Can he come over and watch one with us? The real ones, not the new ones." In that simple, innocent question, Leo had given her the courage she needed. He didn't care about gossip or what the neighbors thought. He just cared about his mom's happiness. That evening, Clara walked next door, not under the cover of darkness, but in the warm glow of the setting sun. She knocked on David's door, and when he answered, she didn't hesitate. She took his hand. "I'm done hiding," she said, her voice clear and strong. The next Saturday, David didn't park down the street. He pulled right into her driveway. He walked up to the front door, rang the bell, and took her hand as they walked out to the car, in full view of anyone who cared to look. They went to the town's busiest diner for lunch, sitting not in a hidden corner, but at a booth right by the window. They laughed, they held hands, and they let their story unfold, not in whispered secrets, but in the bright, open light of day. Of course, the town talked. Mrs. Higgins had a field day. But something had shifted. By refusing to hide, Clara and David had taken the power away from the gossip. Their relationship was no longer a scandalous secret. It was just a fact. They were two people who had found happiness, and seeing them together, so clearly content, the whispers began to fade. The knowing glances were replaced with genuine smiles. Their secret relationship hadn't stayed hidden for long, and as it turned out, that was the best thing that could have ever happened. They learned that the most beautiful stories aren't the ones kept under lock and key, but the ones you're brave enough to share with the world. And in the quiet town of Maple Creek, their love story became just another chapter in the town's open book, a reminder that true connection is nothing to be ashamed of. Thank you so much for watching our story today. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We love having you here and can't wait to see you in the next one.